Is it worth it to drive Lyft in 2022? Hey everyone, my name is Chris and welcome to the RideShare Guy. Now, you may have clicked on this video because you're thinking about becoming a driver and you're not sure if it's going to be worth it. Maybe you're trying to get extra money. Maybe you're in between jobs, got laid off, whatever it might be. Maybe you also were driving a couple years ago, but because of the pandemic, you stopped driving and are now thinking about coming back. Or you could be already driving and just want to see what I have to say. And you're wondering, is RideShare or Lyft worth it to drive in 2022? So let's answer that question. Is it still worth it to drive Lyft in 2022? Well, the answer is going to be mixed. Some people are going to make money while others are not going to make money and actually lose money in the long term. And they might not realize it right off the bat because they're not taking into account different expenses that are going on, like the price of gas, like car maintenance. Everything has gone up. But the thing is, when they're driving on the road, they might be doing things that is going to make them lose money. And that is, putting deadhead miles on your car, which means that you are driving around aimlessly waiting for the next ride, or you're accepting every single ride that comes in, which means there could be a ride coming in that's 25 minutes away, but it's only going 2 or 3 miles down the road. That particular ride is not going to be worth it as a driver. So one of the things that you have to realize is you have to come up with different strategies to make it worth it in 2022. Now, one of the best things to do is watch some of our previous videos talking about how to maximize your earnings and some best practices when driving either Uber or Lyft. And that is going to help you get a base knowledge of what's going on. And you're going to set yourself up much better than another driver who's not watching those videos because, again, it's going to come out with different strategies that you can incorporate within your market, within your area, that's going to be more beneficial for you. Now, one of the big things to note too is those are general concepts. They're not going to be specific to your area. You're going to have to go out and do some testing in order to see when it's worth it to go out, when it's worth it to stay home, or to do something else. Another thing to take into account when you think it's worth it to drive Lyft or not is expenses. Expenses while behind the wheel, which include things like car maintenance, which includes gas, which is probably your biggest expense. Now, the best way to help reduce that expense is using cashback apps like Upside. If you haven't downloaded the Upside app, make sure you do. Link's gonna be in the description. And if you enter code RIDE35 when signing up, you can get up to 65 cents off per gallon on your first fill up. And a few other ways of things that you can do when it comes to helping to reduce your car costs is doing some of the work yourself. So things like changing your oil, your air filters, whatever you can do yourself is going to help in the long term because it's going to help keep those costs down. Now, the next thing that you want to look at is your particular market. Are you in a rural area? Because if you're in a rural area, demand is going to be low. You're going to be driving a lot more and it's going to be more expensive for you to drive with those expenses that I was just talking about. But are you in a suburban area or a city center? Is there demand there? Will you have to drive a little bit in order to go to a higher demand area? These are all things that you have to consider, and it actually might be worth it for you to drive from where you are to someplace that has more demand. Now, these are pretty much things that are happening when it comes to you as a driver or your particular market. But what about the Lyft app itself? Well, Lyft is now testing 2 different ways on upfront trip details. It's called Upfront Pay and Upfront Trip Details. Both of them are different, and we did make a video explaining exactly what both of them are. Now, these are pilot programs that they're testing out. They're not full out yet, and hopefully they will be soon, because what's nice about this is you're going to be able to see the upfront trip details. You're going to see the pickup and drop off locations compared to where you are. So you'll be able to know, is this ride going to be worth it for you to take or not? Is it too far of a pickup without getting compensated for that drive? And is it only going just a short distance once I finally pick them up? Well, you'll be able to accept or deny based on that information. and you're going to make better informed decisions because you have the pickup and drop off destinations already on the ping screen. Now, if you couple that with the different strategies, it's going to be much more worth it, and you're going to be much further ahead than another driver who is just starting out and doesn't really understand the different strategies that it does take in order to go out there and be very profitable. And then the last tip to make it even more worth it to drive Lyft in 2022 is multi-apping. So you don't want to just drive Lyft because it's just one app. You want to be able to drive over multiple apps. So download Uber, try Uber Eats, download Doordash, download Spark, download different apps, and then go online based on when it's going to be busy for you. And when you're online more apps at the same time, that just increases your chances of getting a ride request, a food delivery request, or whatever else you might be driving on. So the best thing is it worth it in 2022? Yeah, it can absolutely be worth it in 2022. And you can make quite a bit of money. But again, you got to make sure you pay attention to those strategies. You got to pay attention to what rides are going to be coming to you, and you got to implement those strategies when out on the road, wherever you might be driving. And lastly, if you want to know what the best times to go out and drive Uber or Lyft is, well, check out this video right here, as it's going to share the most common busy times and slow times when it is for rideshare. Also, make sure you subscribe, ring the bell for notifications so you'll be notified when new videos come out. Drive safe, everyone.